Hey everybody, welcome back to Leosophy. This is the last of the Arachnology videos. I'm going to be talking about Pseudoscorpiones, which is pseudoscorpions. They're also called book scorpions, false scorpions, which, feels kind of insulting. But yeah, if you look at them, they look like somebody cut the tail off of a scorpion. The abdomen is a little different. It does look a little more spider-like. It's not that peculiar rectangle that you see, but it is covered with the same kind of tergite plates that you see on a scorpion. And again, the pedipalps have evolved to be pincer-like, just like a scorpion. There's two notable differences between scorpions and pseudoscorpions, though. It really stands out. One, there's no tail. Actually, three things. I just thought of a third one. Two, they are teeny tiny. Like, it is very difficult to exaggerate how small they are. In fact, most of you watching are like, I've never seen one of those. Yeah, there's a reason for that. These little guys will hitch rides on flies and sometimes even other arachnids like mites. They're tiny. They're usually parasitic in the sense that they eat like carpet beetle larvae, clothes moth larvae, ants, mites, things like that. The little flies like forage flies. Oof. So they eat a lot of the things that we take issue with. So unlike their cousins, the mites, the other tiny arachnids, and ticks, the other tiny arachnids, they are largely beneficial for humans, which makes it doubly funny since we never noticed them. And again, that's because they are so small. The biggest species, Garippus titanius, I think. I might look that up later to make 100% sure, and I'll add a notation if I'm wrong. They're like half an inch. That's the biggest. Your average sized pseudoscorpion is like 1/10 of an inch. So imagine a scorpion, sans tail, 1/10 of an inch. Now, what is the third thing? Sorry about the messenger thing. The third characteristic that I had just thought of. Unlike other arachnids, and I've talked about this in depth in some of the other episodes, I talk about book lungs and how they vary from regular respiration. Well, some arachnids, I did mention, I think, in an episode, some arachnids breathe tracheally. Pseudoscorpions breathe tracheally. Now, this blows my mind because they are so small. You would actually think if any arachnid would benefit from surface area breathing, it would be them. But instead, it's actually the other way around, and that's probably because they can live in much more stagnant, low oxygen environments than other arachnids. Like if you think about other arachnids, they tend to be just sort of out and about in nature, in tropical areas, in treetops, just all over the world, but in areas that are at least well ventilated. And I can tell you, as a tarantula keeper, ventilation is very important when keeping spiders at the very least. And that has to do with the fact that they use book lungs. Well, these little guys, they can live in much more confined, stagnant places, like inside of books, for example, where they eat book lice. And it's not an issue, and the reason why is because, like us, they actually have a mechanism for drawing air into their bodies tracheally. So I think that's just kind of interesting. They have elaborate mating dances like scorpions, not that surprising. They actually, unlike scorpions, do produce silk, and they actually make little cocoons for molting, for mating, and even, and I just find this kind of adorable, if like the weather gets cold or the environment does get a little too inhospitable, they'll make a little like hammock out of silk to sort of stay warm and dry and so forth. I don't know, I just think it's kind of cute, the idea that they make their own little sleeping bags. A lot of spiders do that too, but these guys are so little, there's something endearing about it. Let me think, what all else? The females actually have a pouch on their abdomen, which makes me think of isopods, and they ride on their mother's abdomen after they hatch, just like with scorpions. On average, they have like 25 babies. That's probably like a good median number. Yeah, and here's the weirdest thing, to me at least. Given their small size, you'd think their lifespan would be less than a year, very, very tiny. It actually takes, they only molt 3 times like ticks do, but it takes several years for them to even reach maturity. So I just find that fascinating when you consider how small they are. Usually there's an association with teeny tiny animals as having short lifespans, but not these guys. And as for being related to regular run-of-the-mill scorpions, uh, well, they go back 380, 400 million years, like a long flipping time. So they almost certainly didn't diverge from scorpions. Quite the opposite. It's kind of like when I talked about in our previous episode how resembling a crab is a very useful evolutionary structure to have, being crab shaped. There's all sorts of crab like animals, including scorpions, that are not crabs. And horseshoe crabs is another example of a chelicerate that's like a crab but not. Similar reasons. Evolutionary pressures just put them on that. And one last thing. This is the last thing I'm going to say about pseudoscorpions, and then we'll finish up the arachnology. I just find it interesting as to the first historical record of them. People have noticed them probably longer, but it's just surprising to me that Aristotle, he was going through library scrolls, and he found these little critters, and that's the oldest reference to them. I just think that's amazing that the first person that we have on record describing these little tiny pseudoscorpions is Aristotle himself. That's kind of bizarre to me. So yeah, they keep your books safe from book lice, I guess. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, keep asking questions. Bye.